Have you ever looked into the eyes of someone who trusted you completely, and known you were the reason that trust was shattered? The day my stepson, Ryan, knocked on the garage door and asked me to teach him how to fix his bike, I felt my heart catch in my throat. It should have been a simple, fatherly moment, like the countless others we'd shared over the years. But this one wasn't simple. Because buried beneath the grease and gears was a truth I'd never dared to tell him. He thought I was still the man who taught him how to build, how to fix, how to show up. But I knew better. And as he stood there, waiting for me to say yes, I realized something terrifying. This might be my only chance to fix something I'd broken long before he ever knocked. And my name is Daniel. I'm 42 years old, and for the better part of the last decade, I've been a husband to Lauren and a stepfather to her son, Ryan. On paper, we're just another blended family trying to make it work, but the truth, like most truths, lives in the cracks. I met Lauren on a chilly March morning in a cafe just off the main street in our town. She was sitting by the window, steam curling from her cup, reading Norwegian wood like it was the only thing anchoring her to the world. I don't know what made me speak to her. Maybe it was the book, maybe it was the way she kept brushing her hair behind her ear every time she turned the page. We talked for hours that day, and by the time the barista flipped the closed sign, I knew I was in trouble. Lauren was a single mom. Her ex, Jason, had walked out when Ryan was 5, showing up only for birthdays or holidays when guilt got the better of him. Ryan was a quiet kid, with big brown eyes and a cautious heart. When I first came into their lives, he watched me like a hawk, trying to figure out if I was going to be another man who disappeared. So I stayed. I was there for his first scraped knee on a bike I taught him to ride. I coached his little league team even though I barely understood the rules. I built Lego castles and science fair volcanoes, helped him learn how to shave, and sat next to him in silence when he didn't have the words to explain why school made him feel invisible. Our home was small but full of color, full of laughter. Mornings smelled like burnt toast and Lauren's lavender shampoo. Evenings buzzed with the clink of dishes and low, sleepy TV shows playing in the background. We had our routines, our rituals. Taco Tuesdays. Sunday walks. Bad karaoke nights when Lauren opened wine. But like most stories worth telling, things didn't stay perfect. Lauren is a trauma nurse, brilliant, strong, and relentlessly compassionate. But the job wore her thin. Night shifts stretched into double shifts. The sparkle in her eyes started to dull from exhaustion and resentment. We passed each other like ghosts in the hallway, polite, present, but emotionally absent. Ryan grew up somewhere in that silence. From a curious, talkative kid to a moody, headphone-clad teenager who barely looked up from his phone. I told myself it was just normal adolescence. But deep down, I knew. The distance between all of us wasn't normal. It was the warning before the storm. I just didn't realize I would be the one to break the levee. The affair happened on a Wednesday. That's what I always remember, how ordinary it was. It wasn't planned, it wasn't passionate. It was two people drowning in their own emptiness, reaching for something that felt like air. Mae was Lauren's friend from work, a nurse too. She'd come by occasionally to drop off scrubs or paperwork Lauren forgot. We'd chat in the kitchen, harmless stuff at first. She was funny, sharp in that biting, no-filter kind of way. When Lauren was too tired to finish a sentence, Mae would finish it for her, and for a while, it was easier to laugh with her than sit through another silent dinner with my wife. The texts started after a late drop-off. Then coffee. Then the parking lot of the hospital on a rainy night when I should have just driven away. It happened once. I told myself that made it forgivable. But it didn't. After that night, every word I spoke to Lauren felt counterfeit. She never asked, never pried, but something in her changed. She smiled less. She touched me less. And when I reached for her in bed, she turned over like I wasn't even there. And Ryan. He mirrored that silence like a damn echo. Doors closing softly but firmly. Eyes that looked through me instead of at me. He stopped asking me for help. Stopped telling me about school. Stopped trying. It was months later, long after MIA transferred hospitals and vanished from our lives, that Ryan knocked on the garage door. "Can you help me fix the bike?" I blinked. He hadn't asked me for anything in so long, I almost didn't recognize his voice. "Sure," I said, stepping aside. The garage was dusty, smelled like motor oil and old wood. His bike was a wreck, the chain was loose, tires cracked with age, spokes bent from God knows what. We worked side by side in silence. He watched my hands carefully as I adjusted the derailleur. You used to say the chain's like a heartbeat, he muttered. Yeah, I said. Still is. He hesitated. I liked when you taught me stuff. I liked it too. He looked up, eyes hard now. Then why did you stop? I froze. What do you mean? You just disappeared. Not physically. But you weren't there anymore. I exhaled slowly. I messed up, Ryan. I know that. Did you cheat on Mom? The question sliced through the air like a blade. I turned away. That's not something you should have to worry about. But I do. I did. Every night she cried in her room. Every time you stared at your plate like it was gonna swallow you whole. I felt the bile rise in my throat. Just tell me, he said. There was no good way to say it. Yes, I whispered. I did. It was a mistake. One I wish I could take back. He stepped away from the bike, arms crossed. Was it Mia? I nodded, ashamed. You knew. She texted Mom. I saw it before she deleted it. Called her the better woman. Mom said it was nothing, but she stopped laughing after that. You both did. I couldn't look at him. Why? He asked, his voice breaking. You were the one person I thought would never do that. I got lost, I said. And I didn't ask for help. I failed her. I failed you. He stared at the ground, then at me. You didn't just break her. You broke ****. I nodded slowly, tears threatening behind my eyes. I know. He turned back to the bike, lifting the wheel and spinning it. Can it be fixed? He asked. I swallowed. If we take care of it. If we're honest. He didn't say anything after that. Just handed me the wrench, eyes dull, heart guarded. But he stayed. And that, somehow, was worse than yelling or walking away. He stayed, and now I had to live up to that choice. And it all started with a mistake I swore I'd never make. And I wasn't sure it could be fixed. That night, Lauren came home earlier than usual. Her car slid into the driveway as dusk settled around us, and I could feel the weight of the hours that had passed since Ryan's question. He was upstairs, his door locked, his silence as heavy as mine. I sat in the kitchen, mind racing, heart pounding, staring at the empty coffee cup in front of me. Lauren stepped through the door, her face drawn with fatigue, her eyes clouded with something deeper than exhaustion. The soft hum of the refrigerator was the only sound between us. Hey, she said, her voice barely more than a whisper. Hey, I replied, feeling the distance between us widen with every word left unspoken. She set her keys down on the counter, her gaze lingering on the chair across from me, but she didn't sit. Instead, she took a deep breath and crossed her arms, as if bracing herself for something. Maybe she already knew. Maybe she'd known all along. I talked to Ryan, I said, the confession slipping out like the last breath of air before diving into a deep, cold ocean. Her face shifted, something sharp crossing her expression. Was it fear? Anger? I couldn't tell. About what? I swallowed hard, fighting to keep my voice steady. About the affair. About May. She froze, just for a second, before her face closed off. Her jaw tightened, eyes darkening. You told him. I nodded. He deserved the truth, Lauren. He's been carrying it, just like I have. Maybe I can't undo what happened, but I can't keep lying to him, to you. Her eyes searched mine for something, maybe a reason, a justification, some form of hope, but she didn't find it. Instead, she looked away, rubbing her forehead as if to ward off a headache she couldn't shake. I didn't know, she murmured, her voice cracking, whether to believe it or not. I didn't know what to think when I saw the text Mia sent me, but I tried to bury it. Because I wanted to believe you. But, Daniel. Her voice trailed off, too pained to continue. I stood up, the weight of it all pressing against my chest like an unrelenting tide. You should have told me. You should have said something. And what? What would I have said? How could I even look at you after that? How could I look at myself? She finally met my eyes, tears gathering at the edges. I stayed because I thought that was the right thing to do, for Ryan. For us. I wanted to believe that we could rebuild. But I never knew if you still loved me. And I didn't know if I still loved you, not after everything. I didn't have an answer to that. The truth was, I didn't know what love was anymore, or if what I felt for her was enough to bridge the gap I'd created. My mind churned with the painful realization that love, real love, didn't look like anything I'd imagined it to be. It wasn't just about what you said or how you showed up in moments that felt easy. It was about everything that lay beneath the surface. And I'd hidden too much, for too long. "I'm sorry," I whispered, the words tasting hollow even as they left my lips. "I never meant to hurt you, Lauren. I never meant to hurt him." I motioned toward the stairs, where Ryan's quiet footsteps echoed through the house, marking his presence even if he refused to be seen. Her face softened just a fraction, but the damage was already done. "Do you know what hurt the most, Daniel?" she asked, her voice raw. "It wasn't just that you betrayed me, it was that you broke the one thing I believed in. That the man I married, the one I trusted, was still in there somewhere." The weight of her words crushed me. Because I knew she was right. I had let that man slip away. Slowly, quietly, insidiously. I had let my guilt, my self-loathing, my loneliness build until I couldn't even see the man she fell in love with anymore. "I can't fix this, can I?" she asked, voice trembling. I shook my head, feeling the sting of tears burn the back of my throat. "I don't know. I wish I could say I could. But I don't know if I can, Lauren. Not the way you deserve." She was quiet for a long moment, her gaze dropping to the floor, her mind working through everything I had just confessed. And for a brief second, I saw it, the ache in her eyes, the pain of years spent holding something broken together, hoping it would heal on its own. And then she spoke, her voice low but steady. "I don't know if I can forgive you, Daniel. But I'm tired. I'm so tired of pretending none of this happened. I think we both need to figure out who we are without all this weight on our shoulders." I didn't know how to answer. Maybe I didn't need to. But the silence that followed spoke volumes. We were both standing on the edge of something. Whether it was the end of us or a painful, painstaking rebuild, neither of us knew. I had wanted the truth to set everything right, to somehow mend the pieces of our fractured lives. But now, as I stood there facing the woman I'd once promised to love and protect, I realized how little I understood about what it meant to truly make things right. The only thing I knew was this: there was no going back from the choices we'd made. All I could do was face what I had broken and decide if I was strong enough to try, to fix it. But with Lauren's quiet reflection, I knew that was a question we couldn't answer right now. Maybe not ever. The days that followed weren't easy. If I'm being honest, there were moments when I wished I could crawl into bed, pull the covers over my head, and wake up to a world where none of this had happened. But that's not how life works, is it? It doesn't wait for you to be ready. It doesn't wait for you to understand. Lauren and I barely spoke after that night. I saw the way she looked at me when we passed in the hall, like she was measuring the distance between us. There were no fights, no yelling. Just a quiet, heavy resignation that we were both struggling with the same question. Was there anything left to fight for? Ryan, for his part, didn't say much either. He'd stopped asking me for help. His once eager attempts to connect had become distant, like he was guarding himself from me, or maybe from the truth. I knew I'd never be able to go back to the way things were. But I also knew I couldn't give up on trying. The truth had been out in the open, and with it came a flood of emotions, of guilt, regret, and a terrifying emptiness that made me wonder if I'd ever be whole again. But it was also the beginning of something else. A chance, maybe the only one I'd ever have, to rebuild, to be honest with myself and the people I loved. I spent a lot of time alone after that, in the garage or walking around the neighborhood, trying to make sense of it all. I wasn't sure what Lauren needed from me, or if I even had what it took to give it to her. But I was willing to try. And Ryan. He came down one evening and sat next to me on the porch. We didn't talk at first. We just watched the sun dip below the horizon, the sky shifting from gold to purple, a quiet moment of shared understanding. "I'm sorry," I said, breaking the silence. "I know," he replied, his voice softer than I expected. "But I don't know if I can ever forget." I nodded. "I don't expect you to." The truth was, neither of us knew what came next, what forgiveness really looked like. But in that moment, we understood that we had to keep moving forward, even if we weren't sure where we were headed.